Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So for this week, we will cover chapter 3. That is accounting equation and accounting classification. So throughout this chapter, students should be able to understand the accounting equation and how to classify the account. Alright. So now let's take a look at the basic accounting equation. That is asset equal to liability plus owner's equity. This is the basic accounting equation. And then account can be classified into asset, liabilities, and owner's equity. Okay. So there are two types of asset, which are current asset and non-current asset. Liabilities can also be classified into two categories, that are current liabilities and non-current liabilities. Whereas for owner's equity consists of capital, profit, losses, and drawing. So these are the summarization of chapter 3. Okay. So now, with the basic accounting equation, I want you to calculate the missing items using the accounting equation. Okay. So this will be equation number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And please comment your answer down below. Okay. So now let's go to the expanded accounting equation. The basic accounting equation is asset equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. From this basic accounting equation, we can expand it. Okay. So we're going to expand the owner's equity. Only the owner's equity will be expanded. Since I told you owner's equity consists of capital, profit, loss, and drawing. So we take a look at the second equation. Asset equal to liabilities plus capital plus profit minus loss. Okay. And then from this profit loss, we expand it into profit known as income, loss known as expenses. Okay. Therefore, the expanded accounting equation will be asset plus expenses equal to liabilities plus capital plus income. So from this equation, we shift these expenses to the left. Okay. Jadilah expanded accounting equation dia asset plus expenses equal to liabilities plus capital plus income. Drawing ni termasuk dalam expenses. Okay. So jadilah short form dia NOR. Asset plus expenses equal to liabilities plus owner's equity plus revenue. Okay. Revenue or income is the same lah, because income can be classified into revenue and other income. Income consists of revenue and other income. What is revenue? Revenue is derived from sale of goods. Whereas for other income is derived from performance of services. Okay, for an example, okay, we are going to open a boutique. Okay, so boutique pengantin. Okay, so bila orang datang beli, they want to buy the dress, okay, baju pengantin. itu kita akan classify dia sebagai revenue. Sebab it's derived from sale of goods. Kita kan buka butik pengantin. So bila orang beli baju pengantin kita, beli or sewa, itu akan jadi sebagai kita punya revenue. Whereas untuk ada income, let's say kita pun still sama, kita masih lagi buka butik pengantin, tapi kita ada package buat sekali dengan pelamin. Okay, so bila customer datang, dia nak ambil sekali dengan package pelamin. Pelamin tu ialah kita klasifikasikan dia as other income. Sebab itu derived from performance of services. Okay, kita memberi servis buat pelamin. So I harap you boleh bezakan between revenue and other income. Okay, so now let's take a look at the June 19 Part A question 6. Okay, so this will calculate the revenues for the accounting equation below. So dia bagi, this will kita calculate the revenue. So terus automatically terus tulis formula LR. Okay, so asset you ada. Okay, expenses you ada 76,980 equal to liabilities. So you ada liabilities 40,675 plus with owner's equity. Owner's equity consists of capital. Okay, so capital 50,300 plus R, revenue. Revenue kita kena cari. So S. So now boleh tak cari revenue? Boleh kan? So revenue equal to 91,440 plus 76,980 minus 40,675 minus 50,300. So you will get B. Okay, inilah example soalan final. So yang you all kena ingat ialah equation ni, LR or asset equal to liability plus owner's equity. Okay, so now let's go to the accounting classification. As I told you, asset can be classified into non-current asset and current asset. So what is non-current asset? Non-current asset is defined as asset that were bought not primarily to be sold but to be used in the business for a long period of time. For example, land, building, machinery, equipment, furniture, fixture and fittings. Okay, so you all kena ingat, non-current asset ni dibeli untuk kegunaan bisnes, bukan untuk penjualan bisnes. To be used in the business for a long period of time. For example, land. Bila kita beli land, of course kita nak guna untuk jangka masa yang lama. Building tu macam shop lah. Okay, kalau kita buat butik tadi, so shop tu, building tu akan jadi classified into non-current asset. Machinery, sewing machine lah. Kita beli sewing machine untuk digunakan for the use of business. Okay, so now let's go to the current asset. Current asset represent the value of all assets that are reasonably expected to be converted into cash within 1 year in the normal course of business. For example, bank, debtor, cash, stock or inventory, prepaid expenses and accrued revenue. Okay, you akan tahu contoh-contoh non-current asset and current asset. Sebab, because in the final exam, you all kena classify. Jadi minta korang classifykan lah. Ni current asset ke, non-current asset ke. Okay, So I will explain debtor lah. Bank, you tahu bank. Debtor is account receivable. Is the account receivable. Maksudnya customer beli barang daripada you, but dia beli secara kredit, secara hutang. So itu akan jadi sebagai you punya account receivable. So kita namakan dia sebagai debtor. Alright. And then prepaid expenses. Okay, what you must know is prepaid ni terlebih, accrued ni terkurang. Okay. So kalau prepaid expenses, dia akan jadi current asset. Kalau accrued revenue, dia akan jadi current asset juga. However, kalau dia prepaid revenue, dia akan jadi current liability. Terbalik, okay? You kena ingat. For example, prepaid expenses ni, for example, okay, this month is October. You bayar rental. You pay rental for 2 months, for October and November. So 1 month you need to pay 500. But for this month, you pay 1,000. So the another 500 is the prepaid rental expenses. Okay. Sewa bulan 11 tu, kita klasifikasikan dia sebagai prepaid rental expenses under current asset. Whereas the rental expenses for this month, kita akan masukkan dia under expenses. Okay, so we nampak tak prepaid expenses? You nampak prepaid expenses terlebih bayar. Okay. Accrued revenue terkurang, revenue terkurang. Kenapa boleh terjadinya accrued revenue? For example, sebab you punya debtor lah. Punya debtor still tak bayar hutang, so you will have accrued revenue. Okay. And then in non-current asset, kita boleh klasifikasikan lagi. Non-current asset consists of tangible asset, intangible asset and investment. So what is tangible asset? Tangible asset is a physical substance. Asset that have physical substance in nature. Okay, for example, building, land, dia ada, you nampak. Table, chair, okay, dia ada physical, you boleh sentuh, you boleh nampak, you boleh tengok. Investment is the long term loan and fixed deposit. Investment. Okay, bila you buat investment, of course you mengharapkan untuk mendapat access of cash. Sebab tu investment ni ialah you punya asset. It's different from loan. Kalau loan ialah liability. Okay, you membuat pinjaman, sebab tu ialah liability. Investment, you invest, in return you akan dapat dividend. Okay, so investment ni consists of long term loan and fixed deposit. Third is the intangible asset. What is intangible asset? Intangible asset are assets that are not physical in nature. For example, patent, trademark and goodwill. You tak boleh nampak pun, you tak boleh sentuh pun dia. It's just a picture, you know. Trademark, ni Shell, you tengok gambar ni je you dah tahu. This one Shell, this one Pepsi, this one McD, Windows lah. Logo je, logo trademark. Okay. Dan kalau pasal lagu Parapapapa, okay, you know that's belong to the McDonald. Okay, that is intangible asset. You tengok gambar uncle ni, you tahu This is KFC. Logo of the KFC. Trademark of the KFC ialah finger licking good. Okay. Itu ialah intangible asset of the company. So now let's go to the liabilities. What is liabilities? Liabilities is the amount owed by the business. As I told you, liabilities can be classified into non-current liabilities and current liabilities. So what are non-current liabilities? Non-current liabilities are debts which are not expected to be settled within the next year. For example, long-term loan. And then current liabilities is a debt which are to be completely settled within 1 year. For example, creditors or account payable, bank overdraft, short-term loan, prepaid revenue, and accrued expense. So you akan tahulah maksud dan current liability with the example. Okay. So untuk supaya you all tak confuse prepaid revenue dengan accrued expense ni current asset ke current liability, I suggestkan you all untuk buat table. Okay, like this. First, you all tulis P, prepaid. P for prepaid, and then A for accrued, and then you all ada current asset and current liabilities. Draw the table. Okay. So kita ada either expenses or revenue. So ikut alphabet E dulu. So letak E. So bawah ni R. Sebelah dia ni terbalik kan. R dulu, E. So cara nak tengok table ni, okay. P, prepaid expense. It is current asset. Prepaid revenue. It is current liability. Accrued revenue. It is current asset. Accrued expense. It is current liability. That is how you classify into current asset or current liability. Supaya you tak confused. So I suggest you to use this table. Okay. So now let's take a look at the owner's equity. What is owner's equity? Owner's equity is the amounts invested by the owner in the business for the acquisition of asset to the business. Okay. So owner's equity nama pun owner. So owner yang invest untuk business tu, ikutlah dia nak invest, sama ada dia bagi capital or dia bawa masuk asset ke dalam business tu. Contoh dia ada kereta, so dia pun bawa masuk kereta tu untuk digunakan di dalam business. Itu pun kita known as capital lah. Okay. So as I told you, owner's equity consists of capital, profit, loss, and drawing. From these 4 items, we can divide into increase and decrease in owner's equity. So, profit and capital will give increase in owner's equity, whereas the drawing and losses will make the owner's equity decrease. Okay? So, what is the meaning of drawing? Drawing is the amount of asset, cash or goods or fixed asset, are taken out from the business by the owner for his or her personal use. That's the meaning of drawing. Okay? That's why bila owners ambil barang ke ambil cash ke from the business, dia akan mengurangkan owner's equity. Okay? Same goes with losses lah. Sebab owners will bear the profit and loss. Dapatlah sikit ke owner's equity tu, right? So let's go to the effect of transactions on the accounting equation. Every transaction will have a double effect on the accounting equation. There will be either an increase or decrease in assets, expenses, capital, revenues or liabilities. So you all kena ingat effect ni hanya ada 2 je, iaitu increase or decrease sahaja. Itu je effect of transaction dalam accounting equation. So increase or decrease di mana? Di asset, expense, capital, revenues, liabilities. Okay. So basically you all just kena ingat LOR. LOR ni mesti kena tulis jauh macam ni. Sebab nanti chapter 4 akan tunjuk this one is debit side, this one is credit side. So now kita buat example effect of transaction. You all boleh tengok June 19 Part B question 2A. Okay, so inilah contoh. Okay, Susan Boutique is a wedding dress boutique and is owned by Susanna. Below are the transactions of Susan Boutique for the month of May 2019. Okay, required identify the effect. Nampak tak? Soalan minta effect. Effect tu hanyalah increase or decrease of asset, liability, honest equity, revenue and expenses. Okay, journal entry ni chapter 4. So nanti I just nak tunjuk identify the effect. Okay, so nampak you akan tulis macam ni, date, effect, dah bagi tahu increase, decrease. May 31st May. To example, okay, 31st May, paid 200 for telephone bill by cash. Paid 200. Bila paid, apa yang increase, apa yang decrease? Cash decrease. By cash kan, so cash decrease. Apa yang increase? Telephone bill lah. Telephone bill increase. So telephone bill ni apa? Asset, expenses, liability, honest equity or revenue. Telephone bill is your expenses. Cash is your asset. So that's why effect dia increase in expenses, decrease in asset. Okay. Okay, so now kita cuba buat. Tengok transaction 2 May, 2nd of May. Started business with cash in bank account with amounted to 40,000. Started business. So maksudnya dia nak cakap kat sini, this is capital. Started business, this is capital. With cash, so cash increase in bank account which amounted to 40,000. So capital increase, cash increase juga. So again, cash ni is your asset. So effect dia increase in asset and honest equity. Capital kan honest equity, LOR. That's why effect dia increase in asset and honest equity. Boleh. So now let's take a look at the second transaction, that is on 6th of May. Purchase computer 1,500 by check for office use. Purchase computer, so computer increase by check. By check ni maksudnya digunakan bank bank account. So bank you decrease. Computer asset, expenses, liability, honest equity or revenue. Computer is your asset. Check is your asset, expenses, liability, honest equity or revenue. Check or bank is your asset. So effect dia asset increase, asset decrease. Asset increase ni computer lah. Asset decrease tu is your bank. Okay. So 11th May, sold goods on credit to Ramona, 800 ringgit. Sold goods on credit. So maksudnya kat sini bila credit shows that Ramona is your account receivable. So account receivable increase. sold goods. So bila sold goods, you akan dapat revenue. So revenue increase. So effect dia, asset and revenue increase. In 15 May, the business bought in a personal motor vehicles for use in the business amounting to 14,500. Business bought in personal motor vehicles. So this is capital. So capital increase. Capital and motor vehicle ni is your asset. So asset increase. So effect dia, asset and owner's equity increase. Remember, capital is your owner's equity. Ni jawapan dia, right? So cuba jawab untuk 16, 20, 23. Cubalah jawapan untuk 16. Dapat tak? Increase in expense, decrease in asset. Kalau 22, dia akan decrease in expenses, asset dan owner's equity. So now let's go to the format. So kita hanya akan menggunakan, kalau dalam textbook dia akan bagi dua jenis format, horizontal and vertical, but we only use the horizontal format of statement of financial position and statement of profit and loss. You can refer to the page 88 and page 89. So the purpose of statement of financial position is to show the financial position of a business in terms of its asset, liabilities and capital at the certain date. That is the purpose of SOFP. Whereas for the purpose of SOPL is to determine the gross and net profit or loss of the business. Nama pun statement of profit and loss. So kita nak tahu profit and loss of the business. Right? So that's all for chapter 3. So I rumuskan balik chapter 3 ni. First you akan tahu accounting equation. Basic accounting equation ialah asset equal to liabilities plus owner's equity, and then the expanded accounting equation will be the LOR. Okay, asset plus expenses equal to liabilities plus owner's equity plus revenue. LOR. So you must know what is the current asset, non-current asset, current liability, non-current liability, and then the owner's equity. Okay. After that, you must know the effect of transaction. Effect hanyalah increase or decrease saja. Okay. Dia minimum effect mesti akan ada dua effect ke dalam transaction tu. Kalau satu je effect, maksudnya you salah, you kena cari lagi what is the effect. Okay, effect tu boleh jadi increase or decrease. Effect tu juga boleh jadi dua-dua increase, boleh jadi dua-dua decrease. Alright, so increase or decrease dalam apa? Asset, you kena classify pula itu asset, expenses, capital, revenue or liability. Okay, so cuba dulu you all cuba buat past question pula. Alright, so that's all. Have a nice day. Bye. Assalamualaikum.